Shabbat Shalom, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Max Bonilla. I'm a 20-year-old political consultant. I am now a history instructor for a homeschool program, and I'm a deep researcher. I like to go deep on different issues, and that's why I've landed my positions as both a lecturer and a full-time data miner. Now, we need to look at biblical prophecy very carefully. I used to be obsessed with it. Ever since I was 14, I've been studying it pretty deep. Then I got out of it for a little bit, but I've matured out of it in the sense that I'm not so focused on that. I'm not hyper fixated and worrying about Yeshua coming back at a very specific time. Now, prophecy is being fulfilled as we speak. And I would agree with Christian dispensationalists in the sense that ever since the political state of Israel was established, there has been a timer that has started. Now, some of them say, okay, well, something should happen between 70 to 80 years from 1948, or at least should have. I'm going to disagree with that. I'm going to say I'm not going to put that kind of a timeline on it, and I know that they use a couple verses to support that point, but obviously the time is just about up. So there's a little bit of a wrong theological view on that, but I will say that the establishment of the state itself was a crucial step to get us towards the end times and the book of Revelation. The reasons being because the book of Daniel talks about the Antichrist or the beast as one who changes times and laws, and he'll be up at the temple in an event called the abomination of desolation. He will do an abomination that causes desolation. So Yeshua says that let those in Judea flee into the mountains. Some of our Orthodox brethren are going to convert to Torah-keeping Christianity according to the scriptures in the last days. And this anti-Messiah will proceed to change times and laws. And of course, a better translation for laws is the appointed festivals. So what that means is if you're on the wrong Torah calendar, you're already on the wrong track. Now, Exodus says that Yahweh is an Ish or man of war. Now, some people might say, why are you using the same scripture over again, Max, over and over again? It's because I am making a different application of a verse that I may have used in a previous video, but for something a little bit different. So if the Yehudim, at least some of them, are expecting a man of war, right, and this anti-Messiah figure fits that description, then they're going to look upon him as the guy, and they're going to potentially anthropomorphize him. Paul goes on to extrapolate as to what's going to happen. Not only is this man going to change the seasons in terms of the set-apart times, but he's going to go into the temple and directly declare himself as God. And it says this in Thessalonians, and Paul says he'll exalt himself above all other things that are called God. So the mitzvot that we read, some of the scriptures. Now, he probably will keep some elements of Torah and work with some misinterpretations, because if he didn't, it would just make things too obvious. Right? And of course, it says that the elect are going to be handed over to him for a time, times, and half a time in Daniel. The reason why this connects is because if the anti-Messiah gets to persecute said people and gets to run the world, then a select group of people that are devout Torah keepers might see him as a man of war. Look, he's conquering, he's running the world. This is the kingdom. The temple has been reestablished. And of course, there are going to be some, like I said, that will recognize the deception and turn the other way. But how did we even get to this point? Now, Nancy Pelosi's father has been key in fulfilling Bible prophecy. His name is Thomas D. Alessandro Jr., and he was a congressman at one point. You can go see my video about kindling fires on YouTube, about how to not kindle a fire on Shabbat and obey the commandment. There's a whole live stream, and some of it is a little bit on his background, but I'll cover some of that here. So he lobbied for a state of Israel. He joined a group called the Bergson Group, and he was against Teddy Roosevelt's policies to some extent, because as the state of Israel was forming, Teddy Roosevelt didn't want to give them weapons. We're talking about like the middle of World War II here. And he's like, no, you've got to give them weapons, and we've got to give them statehood, and we've even got to be harder on the Nazis. And because he advocated against the British control of Palestine and wanted the Balfour Declaration to come to full fruition and things of that nature, even though he was technically caucused with Roosevelt, he couldn't get behind his initiatives. Now, where does Nancy Pelosi come into play? Well, she was born from this Jewish family, and she has much of the same foreign policy views. You talk to many Republicans and Democrats in Congress, there is this coalescing that happens around Zionism, AIPAC, and the State of Israel. And this is a crucial element to essentially ushering in the events that I have just spoken about. And we're supposed to love our Jewish brothers and sisters, as much as we can as these crucial times approach. And of course, one of their philosophies, the Pelosi's, was that from the Torah, it says, do not stand idly by the blood of your neighbor. And so because the war was going down and all that, they had to find, of course, a homeland for the people that were being persecuted in Germany. So there's a little bit of background there. I could definitely go deeper. But this is what will inevitably lead to very zealous Torah observance in the land. And Paul speaks of it for sure. He says that our Jewish brothers have this zeal for the scriptures. They might not understand the full fruition of it and how it manifests in the Messiah, but that they're still beloved because of the fathers. Because the patriarchs did what Yahweh asked in the book of Genesis and executed according to his law. It says that Abraham kept his statutes and his customs in Genesis. They are also heirs of the same promise so long as they are in keeping with the covenant. They have the rights and the responsibilities. So that leaves us out here in the dispersion trying to fulfill the Great Commission and trying to minister to as many people as possible, teaching them what Yahweh commands through Yeshua, and of course immersing them in his name and making disciples of them, having a discipleship relationship, not just a conversion relationship. Because some of us are more learned in the faith and we need to help these people out. Now, we read in scripture that there's nothing new under the sun. That means that, this anti-Messiah declaring himself as God is not something that is going to be so brand spanking new. Antiochus Epiphanes, for example, during the Hasmonean dynasty period, the Greeks were running the show in the land of Israel and the temple. Of course, that is until the Pharisees asked Rome to come in and take things over. Of course, according to Tanakh, you're not supposed to consult with foreign nations, but that's what they did because it was about political power. As we're seeing in some of this video, a lot of this is about political power rather than trying to serve Yahweh our Elohim. Now, Antiochus Epiphanes, that name means God manifest. He believed that he himself was God, and many people believed that he was a representation of God, like a physical manifestation. And many people believe the same as far as the Roman emperors were concerned, that they were divine, they were deified, and that's why they had to be listened to. Their decrees were essentially, they were like viewed as infallible. So whatever they said went. And we know that in these end times, an angel is going to be asked to take a measuring stick to measure the length of the temple, that there's going to be false temple worship, and that there's going to be a man of lawlessness who commands all people to take a mark on their right arm or on their forehead. And it might even probably be between the frontlets of the eyes, because when we talk about the phylacteries, that's where the placement is. So God bless you. And I suppose God bless everybody in these United States of America, and put him first. and He'll protect you. Shalom.